All right, good morning, ladies. We're going to go ahead and get started. So, someone tell me, are we doing evens or odd numbers on chapter 12?
It was odds. 567 to 571.
It was odds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I wrote it down from the thing.
Okay, perfect. Okay, awesome. All right, so 1 is true, 3 is false, 5 is false.
We didn't start on page 560. On the thing, it said 567. I thought that was weird too. I even,
567.
yeah, I know. I even double checked too because I thought it was so weird.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll make it work. So, what's the first question on 567? Should have been
Why should
561.
artifacts be eliminated if they occur in an ECG recording? Number 29.
All right. I don't even know if that's gonna
Somebody
work.
else do that. They could do something different.
No, we'll make it work. All right. So we'll start on number 29, and we'll do the odds, and then y'all just let me know what if you missed anything. Okay. We'll make it work. Okay. So number 29. So that a clear and concise EKG recording is produced that can be read and interpreted by both a computer and the physician. 31, patient apprehension, patient discomfort, patient movement, a physical condition such as Parkinson's disease. 33, lead wires that do not follow body contour, electrical equipment in the room, wiring present in the walls, ceiling or floor, improper grounding of the electrocardiograph. For 35, to correlate patient activities, emotional states, and symptoms with cardiac activity. For 37A, paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia, an abrupt episode of tachycardia with constant heart rate that usually falls between 150 and 250 beats per minute. B, atrial fibrillation, an EKG in which the P waves have no definite pattern or shape and contract between 400 and 500 times per minute. Premature ventricular contraction, a beat that comes early in the cycle, which is not preceded by a P wave and has a wide or distorted QRS complex. D, ventricular fibrillation. The ventricles do not beat in any coordinated manner, but instead they twitch or fibrillate. 39. Spirometry may be performed in patients who exhibit symptoms of lung dysfunction, individuals at high risk for lung disease, patients with lung disease, patients who are to undergo surgery, and patients who need to be evaluated for lung disability or impairment for a compensation program. 41. To inform the physician of how treatment would work in patients whose airways are obstructed. 43. House dust, pollens, molds, animal dander, cockroach allergens. 45. They constrict, swell, and become clogged with mucus. 47. It opens the airways quickly by dilating the bronchial tubes to prevent or control an asthma attack. 49. Low range meters measures value from 0 to 300 and are used by young children and some older patients. Full range meter measure values from 0 to 800 and are used by older children, teenagers, and adults. 51. Oxygen combines with glucose in the cells of the body to produce energy. which is necessary for carrying out all metabolic processes that sustain life. 53, severe COPD caused by smoking, asthma, occupational lung disease, lung cancer, cystic fibrosis, and congestive heart failure. 55, advantages. Compressed oxygen gas is less expensive than liquid oxygen. Disadvantages, the oxygen cylinders must be refilled frequently. A compressed oxygen gas cylinder cannot be taken on a commercial airline. 57, advantages, takes up less space and is easier to transport than compressed oxygen gas. Disadvantages, more expensive than compressed oxygen gas. Liquid oxygen evaporates, making it necessary to have tank refilled often and cannot be taken on a commercial airline. 59, it does not interfere with the patient's ability to talk, eat, or drink. 61, frequent headaches, anxiety, cyanosis of the lips and fingernails, drowsiness, confusion, restlessness, and slow, shallow, difficult, or irregular breathing. And 63, the flame burns hotter and the fire burns faster and more vigorously. Okay, so let me do a quick count. So it's 1. Okay, so just send me your results based off of the questions that we did cover. Okay, so before we get started on chapter 21, does anybody have any questions about anything so far? No? Okay, so I want everybody to turn your books to chapter 21. Okay, so can anyone tell me what the Evolve calendar says for today, for chapter 21?
About to ask the same as Sabrina. Why are we skipping through them?
So we're not skipping through them. We will still cover them. But we're going to be, so it's going to go chapter 21, chapter 15, 16, 17, 18, and then, let's see.
We just like going by importance.
No, not really. It's just the way that we designed it.
For today in Evolve, we have the chapter 12 test due by the end of the day. The 2 work things that we do on Evolve from 21. And then chapter 21 study guide, evens only, pages 855 to 868.
Okay. And then go ahead and look and tell me what it says tomorrow.
It says chapter 21 test due by the end of the day. We're going to grade chapter 21 study guide questions, and then we have our food pyramid. I remember reading about that.
Yes. Okay. So that's why we're going to go ahead and knock 21 out, because normally if we were in class, we do a really group nutritional project. But because we're not in class, I kind of rearranged it a little bit. So you're going to have, it's going to be a total of 3 assignments, right? That's going to be included in chapter 1, okay? And I don't mind going over this more, but I want to kind of go over it as a whole. So the first thing is you're going to draw a food pyramid, right? You can trace it even out of the one on the book. Okay, so that's your first thing. You're going to send me a picture of your food pyramid. Okay, the next part is you're going to pick 2 to 3 items off of your food pyramid that you have in your home to make a meal or a snack. Okay, nobody needs to go to the grocery store for a special trip for this. Okay, so that's 2. So you're going to send me a picture of your meal or snack that you made. All right, and the third and final part is you're going to make a nutritional panel off of your meal or snack. And we're going to go over that in chapter 21. Does anybody have an idea of what a nutritional panel is?
Is it what's on the back of the like on the back of whenever you eat something, it shows like the calories, the carbs, the like all your macros?
Yeah, so it's either going to say nutritional panel or nutritional facts. But yes, so you normally find it on the back of your your crackers or, whatever meal, hamburger helper, things like that. Like you find it. Okay, so you're going to build a nutritional facts based off of your meal or snack that you made. So there's 3 parts of this project. Okay, so the first one is you send me a picture of a food pyramid. And I'm not an artist, so I don't expect it to be exactly detailed. Okay, just the best you can. The second is you're going to pick 2 or 3 items off the food pyramid, and you have these items at home, and you'll make a snack or a meal. And then the third is you're going to build a nutrition facts based off of that you made, your meal or snack. Okay? So that's what you're going to be seeing over the next few days, is that those are going to be the items that you need to send.
Are we allowed to use our resources to help with the nutrition?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So let's say that I don't order my groceries until Saturday, and I'm like down to my bare minimum. And the only thing I have in my house is a box of wheat thins and a Heart Nutritional travel pack nuts and a bag of Cheetos, just whatever. Okay, so that's like a little snack, right? So then I'm gonna gather all of my information off of those packages that I'm getting my items from, and I'm gonna mold it to make a nutritional facts panel. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I know that if this will help anybody, so that way they can figure out how to do that easier. If you download MyFitnessPal, you can make a meal and add all your information, and then you can make it. They'll like generate a nutrition fact from the whole meal.
Yes. So you can use the MyFitnessPal, even Fitbit has that as well. So there are a lot of resources out there that you can use. And again, I'm not asking it to be exact. Okay, like I said, if all you have is a few bags of different chips, I don't want anybody going to the store or special trip to make anything out of this. You use what you have, but it just has to be the 3 different parts of the project. Okay? And use your classmates. Help each other out if you get stuck on anything. That's going to always be a resource. All right. So, yes, we're going to start on chapter 21 today. Now, we are going to be covering every chapter in this book. It's just the way that we built the course outline to kind of, for just the process. But we are still going to cover every chapter. Okay, so don't worry about that. I'm going to teach y'all everything. All right, any questions before we get started? All right, here we go. Alicia, go ahead and kick us off with Introduction to Nutrition. If you'll read the first paragraph and the bullet points, please.
Okay. Nutrition is the study of nutrients in food, including how the body uses them in their relationship to health. A nutrient is a chemical substance found in food that is needed by the body for survival and well-being. Good nutrition is an important component of health and well-being of an individual. Inadequate nutrition can result in poor health and even disease. Some of the following benefits derived from good nutrition include the following: supports good physical and mental well-being, helps to maintain a healthy weight, boosts the functioning of the immune system, delays the effects of aging, and lowers the risk of certain conditions and diseases. Example: obesity, heart disease, cancer, and diabetes.
Very good. Okay, so you're going to highlight where it says a nutrient is a chemical substance found in food that is needed by the body for survival and well-being. And then I also want you to highlight each of the bullet points. All right. Anna, can you go ahead and read the next paragraph, please?
The medical assistant should have a knowledge of a basic nutrition principle of the recommendation nutrients for common conditions and diseases. The medical assistant uses the information when scheduling a patient for an appointment with a dietitian, relying information to patients on dietary restrictions requires for tests and procedures, providing patients with nutrition education handouts, and answering basic questions a patient may have regarding nutrition.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, so you're going to highlight the first sentence on that paragraph. All right, Jasmine, go ahead and read the next paragraph, please.
Medical assistants are not qualified to conduct nutritional assessments or recommend nutrition therapy. This is the responsibility of a registered dietitian. Medical assistants should make sure to adhere to these guidelines to stay within the scope of practice for a medical assistant.
Very good. Okay, so you ladies are going to highlight the first two sentences on that paragraph. All right, definition of terms. Terms that aid in understanding this chapter are listed and defined here. Diet. A diet consists of the food and drink an individual consumes each day. To promote sound nutrition, an individual's diet should include the proper balance of nutrients. A dietitian is a professional specially trained to assess the nutritional status of an individual and recommend appropriate nutrition therapy. Digestion, the process by which food is broken down in the gastrointestinal tract into smaller components that can be absorbed by the bloodstream for use by the body. Empty calorie food, a food that provides calories but few or no nutrients. Enriched foods, a food to which vitamins and minerals have been added to replace those lost during the processing of that food. Go ahead and highlight all of enriched food. Fortified food, a food to which vitamins and minerals that were not there originally have been added to increase the nutritional quality of the food. Malnutrition or poor nutrition, a condition that can occur because an excess of or deficiency of one or more nutrients. And nutrient density, the amount of nutrients in a food compared with the amount of calories. A food with a high nutrient density is low in calories and high in nutrients. A food with a low nutrient density, known as an empty calorie food, is high in calorie and low in nutrients. All right, go and highlight both enriched food and nutrient density. Chapter 21 is pretty fun. It's just a little different, but I like it. Okay, so that brings us to nutrients. Let's see. Lily, go ahead and read nutrients, please.
Nutrients can be categorized into 6 classes according to their chemical structure and the role they play in nourishing the body. The 6 classes of nutrients are carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins, minerals, and water, and are described in more detail in this section. Do you want me to keep going?
Yes, ma'am.
Each of the 6 classes of nutrients play an important role in supporting good nutritional health. Nutrients provide 3 primary functions in the body as follows: provide energy for the body, build, repair, and maintain body tissue, assist in the regulation of body process. The National Academy of Science Food and Nutrition Board developed the Dietary Reference Intake (DRI) tables to assist individuals in determining their recommended daily intake of essential nutrients. Nutrients recommendations in the DRI tables are based on gender, age, and life stage, and also allow for individual variation. The DRI tables can be accessed through the following website.
You don't have to read the website, it's fine. Okay. So you ladies are going to highlight that first paragraph and highlight each of the bullet points. All right, nutrients can be further classified as macronutrients and micronutrients. On table 21.1, I want you to highlight the words carbohydrate, fat, and protein. Let's see. Sabrina, go ahead and read macronutrients, please.
Macronutrients are nutrients needed in relatively large amounts by the body and include carbohydrates, fat, and protein. Macronutrients provide kilocalories to the body to yield energy in addition to performing other important body functions, which are discussed in this chapter. A kilocalorie, often referred to simply as a calorie, is a measurement unit of energy. A kilocalorie is defined as the amount of heat needed to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of water 1 degree Celsius. The energy value provided by each of the macronutrients is outlined in table 21.1.
All right, go ahead and read the next paragraph.
Okay. The body uses carbohydrates as a short-term energy fuel and uses the fat as a long-term fuel. Although protein provides a 4 kcal of energy per gram and can be used as an energy source, the body would rather not use protein as an energy source. Instead, the body prefers to use carbohydrate as an energy source to spare protein for its more important functions of building, maintaining, and repairing body tissues.
Right. So for macronutrients, you're going to highlight the first 3 sentences. And then in the next paragraph, you're going to highlight the 1, 2. Go ahead and highlight actually all of that paragraph. All right, and right above micronutrients, I want you to highlight carbohydrate, fat, and protein, and highlight the function of those 3, please. All right, Talia, go ahead and read micronutrients, please.
Micronutrients are nutrients required in very small amounts by the body and include vitamins and minerals. Vitamins and minerals are not broken down by the body and are used in the form in which they are absorbed. Micronutrients do not provide calories to yield energy from the body. However, they do perform a variety of other important functions which are discussed in this chapter.
Very good. Okay, so you're going to highlight the first 2 sentences for micronutrients. carbohydrates. Ugh, I don't like carbs. All right, Alicia, go ahead and read carbohydrates, please.
Carbohydrates are organic compounds that consist of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. According to the acceptable macronutrient distribution range, AMDR, approximately 45 to 65% of the total daily caloric intake of an individual should come from carbohydrates.
Keep going.
Through the process of digestion, carbohydrates are broken down into sugar units and converted into glucose by the body. Glucose is the chief source of energy for the body and the preferred source of energy for the central nervous system. Energy is needed to perform all body functions such as breathing, contraction of the heart, blood circulation, digestion, maintenance of body temperature, and voluntary muscle movement such as walking, running, and lifting. The body must maintain a constant blood glucose level to ensure a continuous source of energy for the body. Ingested glucose that is not needed for the body is stored for later and used in the form of glycogen in muscle and liver tissue. Insulin is a hormone secreted by the beta cells of the pancreas that is required for normal use of glucose in the body. Insulin enables glucose to enter the body cells and be converted to energy. Insulin also is needed for the proper storage of glycogen in muscles and liver tissue.
All right, very good. Thank you. Okay, so you're actually going to highlight the second and third paragraph. There's a lot of highlighting in this chapter. All right, classification of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are classified into simple and complex carbohydrates. Anna, will you please read simple carbohydrates, please?
Simple carbohydrates are made of just one or two sugar units. Simple carbohydrates consisting of one sugar units are tamarind monosaccharides are included glucose, fructose, fruit sugars, or galactose. Simple carbohydrates consisting of two sugar units are known as disaccharides. Okay, and are included in scrolls, table sugars, lactose, milk sugars, and maltose. Simple carbohydrates provided are an immediate source of energy for the body because they are quickly converted to glucose for use of energy. Simple carbohydrates are found in processed foods and refined sugars such as candy, cake, cookies, pastries, sweetened beverages, table sugar, syrups, and honey. Figure 21.1a. Such simple carbohydrates are known as empty calorie foods or low nutrition density foods because they provide calories but very few of no nutrients. Simple carbohydrates are also found naturally in foods such as milk, fruits, and vegetables. These simple carbohydrates are considered a healthier food choice because they are also rich in vitamins, minerals, and fibers.
All right, very good. Thank you. Okay, so I want you to highlight where it says monosaccharides include glucose, fructose, and galactose. I don't know why I always thought that kind of sounded like a spaceship name. And then I want you to highlight where it says simple carbohydrates provided an immediate source of energy for the body because they can be quickly converted to glucose for use as energy. Highlight simple carbohydrates are found in processed foods and refined sugars such as candy, cake, cookie, pastries, sweetened beverages, table sugar, syrup, and honey. Highlight such simple carbohydrates known as empty calorie foods. All right. Jasmine, can you please read complex carbohydrates?
Complex carbohydrates, are also known as polysaccharides, are made up of many sugar units strung together into a long chain. Because complex carbohydrates consist of many sugar units, they take more time for the body to break down. This leads to a less dramatic rise in the blood sugar level and provides a more steady supply of energy for the body. Complex carbohydrates come from plant-based foods. Examples include pasta, rice, bread, cereal, potatoes, and legumes. It is recommended that complex carbohydrates be eaten in their whole grain form. Example, whole grain breads and cereals, about half of the time.
Very good. All right, so you ladies are just going to highlight the first sentence. All right, Lily, will you please read dietary fiber?
Dietary fiber is also a complex carbohydrate consisting of many sugar units. However, fiber does not provide calories for the body. This is because the human body lacks the enzymes necessary to break fiber down so it can be used as an energy source. Fiber serves some important functions in the body, which are discussed in this section. The recommended amount of fiber and the fiber content of common foods are presented in Table 2.2. Based on chemical, physical, and functional properties, fiber can be classified as soluble or insoluble.
All right, very good. Okay, so let's take a quick look on page 742, figure 21.1. All right, so A is items that would be considered simple carbohydrate food sources. All right, so we've got Mountain Dew, Pepsi, honey, a 100-gram bar. Looks like some Starburst, maybe some Twizzlers, some cookies, some marshmallows, and some chocolate. B is considered complex carbohydrate foods. We've got sweet potatoes, red potatoes, looks like pasta, bread, beans. Not sure what else that is. So it's kind of giving us some ideas on simple carbohydrate and complex carbohydrates. So simple, I always had to remember that simple carbohydrates are like, I think of it as like the easy go-to things that I want to do, right? I really want to eat that cookie. Really want to eat that cookie. And then complex, it's more filling. So bread and potatoes, those tend to be more filling. They're considered complex. Okay, any questions on anything so far, ladies? All right, so let's go on over to page 743. We've got table 21.2. So these are fiber recommendations and food sources. So they're saying under the age of 50, women should have 25 grams a day, men 38. Over the age of 50, 21 grams a day for women and 30 grams a day for men. And then this is the fiber content in common foods. Okay, so for me, let's see. I like bananas, rice, oatmeal, broccoli, and bran flakes. I could definitely eat those. Almonds, but they hurt my stomach. What about you ladies? What on here are items that you like to eat?
Love rice.
Mm-hmm.
I am like obsessed with rice, and you know, some people are like, "Oh my gosh, I could not eat chicken and rice all day." Like I can. Like
Oh, I can.
I will. Like I will.
Rice and pasta. Oh, I could eat that all day, every day. Love me
I like
some rice.
bananas
What was
and
that?
potatoes. I like bananas and potatoes.
Yeah.
I like oatmeal and I want to like it a lot. I just don't really like the texture. I'm really, really picky. I don't like texture.
My nephew's the same way.
So I really can't eat oatmeal because it kind of makes me feel weird.
Yeah. Yeah, he says the same thing. Yep.
I don't
It's
like
Oatmeal.
Do what?
Oatmeal with bananas. I love oatmeal.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I can't. I've
Or
tried.
sometimes like with apples
Uh-huh.
and like cinnamon.
Oh, so good.
I
Yes.
feel like I see people doing like they'll make oatmeal in the morning and then they'll put like fruit in it, but it really bothers me that like I'm putting something warm with something that's not warm, and so it's just a mix of weird texture, and I just can't.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that, but like I can't do regular plain oatmeal. I can do
Yeah, I
I can
can't.
do brown sugar, like the maple and brown sugar, or
Oh yeah,
I can do the apple cinnamon and the strawberry. Like
it
those
smells
are
good.
Oh, it does. It smells like a dessert cooking. And I'm like, so scrumptious. I love it. Anna's rice, pasta, fruit, and potatoes. Yes, ma'am.
I like apples with
I
peanut
like
butter.
apples, but I can't. Okay, so I don't. Do y'all eat the skin on your apples? I can't. It's a
I
Yeah.
touchy
don't.
thing for me.
Well, I don't really eat the apple like whole. Like I'll cut it into pieces and then dip it in peanut butter. So I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
really bother me.
That's so good. Ooh, dip it in Nutella.
Really?
Yes.
Yes. Yep,
I
I've
give
got
my
my
baby
oldest
like
hooked to
rice and
Nutella.
bananas, so his rice isn't too dry.
Yep. All right, good. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that we like, right? And like, I was never, honestly, even in all my years, I was never one that really looked really deeply at what nutrients I was putting in my body until I started the keto diet. And I was so overwhelmed by how many carbs are in all the good stuff that everybody likes to eat. I was like, oh my gosh, right? I love Raisin Bran. That's a lot of carbs. I love oatmeal. Same thing. It's a lot of carbs. So this breaks it down into being able to read and recognize what we're putting into our body. Sabrina, you don't like? Oh, see, I like the Raisin Bran. I can do the bran, but I really would prefer the Raisin Bran. That's
I
for
don't
me.
like it.
You know how like okay, like some of this stuff can be healthy, but when you cook it, you make it unhealthy, like sweet potatoes, because you
Oh
put like
yes, with marshmallows and pecans and cinnamon
yes,
and
Ew.
yes,
ma'am, Thanksgiving. Oh my heavens, it's making me hungry. Yes. Yep.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think there is a way that you literally can make the healthiest thing on earth not healthy.
You know what
And
my
it
grandma
tastes
did
so good.
once?
What?
She says, I'm upstairs and she's like, Alicia, come downstairs. Like I made this really good pie. Like I want you to taste it. And I'm like, girl, you better not like mess with me. And she's like, it's key lime pie. And I'm like, okay, I'll try it. Like I've tried it at this place I used to work at. And so I was like, oh, it's good. And I taste it and I'm like, this doesn't taste like key lime pie. Like, what is this? And she's like, it's avocado pie. And she started laughing. I'm like, it was disgusting. I was so mad.
Oh my gosh.
I like
Yeah, that might
avocados,
have
but
hurt my
not like
feelings a little
sweet.
bit.
Huh?
That would have hurt my feelings a little bit.
It was weird.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. So let's see here. Sabrina, will you please read soluble fiber? It's a hard word for me to say.
Soluble fibers dissolves in water after it has been consumed, forming a gel-like material that slows down digestion. This delays the emptying of the stomach and makes the individual feel full longer, which assists in weight control. Soluble fiber also functions to lower blood cholesterol, which helps to protect against heart disease. Good source of soluble fibers include oatmeal, oat bran, barley, some fruits, broccoli, and legumes.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. All right, very good. So on soluble fiber, I want you to highlight that it makes an individual feel full longer, lower blood cholesterol, and good sources include oatmeal, oat bran, barley, some fruits, broccoli, and I think it's legumes. I could be wrong. That one's a hard word to pronounce. Okay, so for those of us who eat oatmeal or even the raisin bran, that is the one thing that it does, right? It does make you feel full, and that fullness does tend to last longer than if we were to eat Lucky Charms, right? It does give you a more a feeling of fuller for a longer period of time. Now, although we're not going to recommend diets to our patient, right? That's more of the provider and a nutritionist or a dietitian. But what we can do is you're going to find that your provider is going to put your patients on a low cholesterol foods. And your patient may say, well, what are some things that are low cholesterol? Okay, well, good sources would be oatmeal, barley, some fruits, broccoli. So this is where this chapter comes into play, right? You can start recognizing if your provider is recommending some things for a patient, more than likely they're going to ask you, not the provider, more questions about that diet. And this is where you can throw them things on, okay, well, these are some things that are really good to eat. These are some resources you can use, things like that. So that's why this chapter is pretty fun. All right, very good. Talia, can you read insoluble fiber?
Insoluble fiber is found in the rough fibrous structure of plants, such as the outer covering seeds and strings. It is not dissolved in water and passes through the gastrointestinal GI tract relatively intact. Because of this, insoluble fiber provides roughage of bulk to the diet, which promotes normal elimination and prevents constipation. It may also reduce the risk of diverticular disease and some form of cancer. Good food sources of insoluble fiber includes whole grains, wheat, and corn bran, legumes from most fruits and vegetables, and nuts and seeds.
All right, very good. Okay, so when we're dealing with our patients that have some abdominal issues, right? Some GI issues. So there's a lot of things that can help certain illnesses and diseases. And one good thing with the GI tract is the fiber part. So you're going to hear your provider say, okay, well, you really need to increase your fiber intake, right? That it has a lot of benefits, but for our GI patients, it really does help them. So this kind of breaks it down as well on some things that you can recommend. Okay, very good. Any questions about anything up to this point? Okay. Alicia, will you please read fat?
Fat, also known as lipids, are organic compounds that do not dissolve in water. Fats are composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. These are the same elements that make up carbohydrates. However, fats are lower in oxygen content than carbohydrates. The body uses fat for a long-time energy fuel and can store unlimited quantities in the body. Despite the misconception that fat is bad for the body and only leads to weight gain, fat serves a number of important functions. In addition to providing energy for the body, these functions include transporting fat-soluble vitamins, providing essential fatty acids for the body, assisting in the transmission of nerve impulses, and insulating and cushioning the body. Don't we know it, you know? Because the fat contains the most calories per gram among the macronutrients, and moderation should be practiced to maintain a healthy weight and a healthy heart. According to the AMDR, no more than 20% and to 35% of an individual's daily caloric intake should come from fat.
Very good. Okay. So I want you guys to highlight that it's providing energy for the body. These functions including fat-soluble vitamins, providing essential fatty acids for the body, assisting in transmission of nerve impulses, and insulating and cushioning the body. And then I want you to highlight the last sentence. All right, types of dietary fat. Different types of fat are found in foods, dietary fat, and can be classified as follows. So first thing is we've got saturated fat. Anna, please go ahead and read saturated fat.
Saturated fat is a type of fat that is a solid at room temperature and comes primarily from animal sources. It can be found in a high amount of fatty animals products such as bacon, sausage, heavily marbled beef, and pork, and the skin of poultry. Whole fat milk products such as cheese, butter, heavy cream cheese, and ice cream are also high in how do you say it again?
Saturated.
Saturated fats. Okay, figure 21.38. Plant sources that are high in saturated fat includes palm oil and coconut oil. Saturated fat raises the total blood cholesterol levels, which can increase the risk of heart disease. Because of this, the American Heart Association (AHA) recommends limiting saturated fats to more than 7% of the total calories consumed each day.
All right, very good. So a lot of your farmers that you have as patients, you're going to notice that their cholesterol usually runs a little higher. And why would we think that that would happen?
Because they raise their animals to eat them.
That's right. Yep. So a lot of their food source comes from the meat part, whether that's your beef, your chicken, your pork, anything like that. So it comes from the animal. So let's take a real quick look at A in figure 21.3. So these are considered saturated fat food sources. So we've got bacon, cheese, steak, butter. I think I know that's ice cream, and I'm not sure what that other one is. That gel is that new? What do you call that?
Like gelato.
Yep, that's the word. I've never had that. I've heard it's good, but I've never had it. So, again, these foods are, they can be, for the most part, I mean, they can be good. So, I mean, they do serve as a really high protein, especially the bacon and the steak and even the cheese. But again, if you do too much of it, then that might cause a problem. All right. And then B is considered unsaturated fat food sources. So we have extra virgin olive oil. Looks like that's canola oil and maybe some almonds and it's like peanuts and cashews maybe. Um, so I cook with olive oil. I love it. It's my favorite to cook with. Um, but that's a source considered unsaturated fat. Okay, so let's go ahead and read about unsaturated fat. Jasmine, can you go ahead and read that, please?
Unsaturated fat is a type of fat that is liquid at room temperature and comes primarily from plant sources. Unsaturated fat tends to have a protective effect against heart disease and should make up approximately 2/3 or more of the total fat percentage consumed each day. Unsaturated fat includes monounsaturated fat and polyunsaturated fat. Monounsaturated fat is considered to be the most protective against heart disease. Good food sources of monounsaturated fat includes olives and olive oil, canola oil, peanut oil, nuts, and avocados. Polyunsaturated fat is found primarily in plant-based foods and oils. Good food sources include walnuts, flax seeds, corn oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, and vegetable oil. Vegetable oil typically consists of a blend of corn oil and soybean oil. Fatty fish and fish oils are polyunsaturated fats that are high in omega-3 fatty acids.
Very good, thank you. Okay, so for saturated fat, I want you ladies to highlight the first 3 sentences. For unsaturated fat, you're going to highlight the first sentence and then where it says that monosaturated fat is considered to be the most protective against heart disease. All right, Lily, can you read trans fat, please?
Most trans fat does not occur naturally in the food supply. It is formed as a result of food processing method known as hydrogenation. Hydrogenation works by adding hydrogen ions to unsaturated fat, which turns into a saturated fat known as trans fat. Trans fat is more stable and less likely to turn rancid. Because of this, trans fat is used to preserve food and increase their shelf life. Trans fat also gives food a more desirable taste and texture. Because trans fat is a saturated fat, it raises the total blood cholesterol level, which increases the risk of heart disease. Food that contains high levels of trans fat, including prepared baked goods, packaged snacks, crackers, potatoes, corn, and tortilla chips, fried examples, french fries, donuts, and fried chicken, and some margins. The AHA recommends that no more than 1% of the diet contain trans fat.
All right, very good. All right, so I love me some trans fat. I love me some cakes and some cookies, and I really like donuts. I don't know why, but I'm a sucker for donuts. But it is not good for the heart. So on trans fat, you're going to highlight the sentence that says, because of this, trans fat is used to preserve food items and increase their shelf life. Highlight trans fat also gives food a more desirable taste and texture. And then you're going to highlight that it increases the risk of heart disease. All right. Talia, can you please read cholesterol?
Cholesterol is not a true fat, but rather a white, waxy, fat-like substance that is essential for normal functioning of the body. It is an important component of cell's membrane and is used in the production of hormones and bile. Most of the cholesterol circulation in the blood is manufactured by the liver. However, a small proportion of it comes from an individual's diet and is known as dietary cholesterol. Dietary cholesterol is found only in animal products such as organs, meat, egg yolks, and dairy products. Although cholesterol serves some important functions in the body, a high blood cholesterol level may cause fatty deposits of plaque to build up on the wall of the arteries, a condition known as atherosclerosis,
Arteriosclerosis.
arteriosclerosis. As the arteriosclerosis process, the arteries become more occluded, which eventually could lead to a heart attack or stroke. Because of this high blood cholesterol, it is considered a risk factor for coronary artery disease. Total blood cholesterol levels are interpreted as outlined in box 21.1.
All right, very good. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so you're going to highlight where it says that it is an important component of cell membranes and is used in the production of hormones and bile. Most of the cholesterol circulating in the blood is manufactured by the liver. Highlight that cholesterol is found only in animal products. Highlight a high blood cholesterol level may cause fatty deposits or plaque to build up on the walls of the arteries, a condition known as arteriosclerosis. All right, so when we hear the word bile, what do we think that means? Does anybody know?
Like,
I think of like acid in your stomach.
Yeah. So bile can be found in your intestines, in your liver, and in your gallbladder. It's a way to help process foods. So, okay, very good. So, what would we consider animal products? Any ideas?
What did you ask again?
anything that's made from animals?
Yes. So the question is when we hear of animal products, what do we think that means? So,
Yeah.
what items would be considered an animal product?
Milk, eggs, cheese, beef, chicken, pork, everything.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
like a lot of stuff.
there's not too much. I mean, especially if you're baking, you have to have a lot of different animal products to
Yeah.
include in what you're baking, right? I mean,
Like
it's
even
part
things
of
that
it.
you don't. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Even things that you don't think that have animal products have animal products. Like vegans or vegetarians, they really can't eat Jello because it has what's it called? It has what is it called? The stuff that makes it jelly?
The gelatin?
Yeah, the gelatin. That's made from like animals.
Yep.
Like they can't even eat that. So almost everything, a lot of stuff is made from animals.
A lot of stuff. Yeah. It's an essential part in
Wait,
what
what
we
did she say?
consider our day-to-day eating style, right?
You went
So,
vegan for a week?
I went vegan for a week, and yeah, it wasn't for me.
Why? You didn't like it at all?
No, no, I didn't like it like at all. So I just consider myself as a what is it, a pescatarian? Yeah, because I don't eat other meats. I just pretty much just eat fish.
Oh, okay.
I love fish. I could do that.
Me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just do fish, and I mean like, the only time that I would eat other meat is when I go to my parents' house because they do live on a farm, so that's like all they eat.
That's cool.
Oh, wow. Well, good for you. So you won't do that again, huh?
No.
So since you don't eat meat, do you still like, because I know some people can like don't count like eggs and milk as like, you know what I mean? Animal, they don't
Yeah.
really, do you still or no?
I mean, I'm not a big fan of milk already, so like
Really?
that doesn't even count. I would rather drink like almond milk or skim milk.
Yeah.
Eggs,
Me too.
I will eat eggs, but it's very rare, and it has to be cooked hard. And I only eat farm fresh, like organic eggs.
Oh yeah, same. Yeah, I don't really like milk anymore either. I think I just because I saw this video about how bad it is for you, I really just eat like drink oat milk.
Yeah,
I think it's like the best alternative I've ever tried.
and my mom kind of like hates it because of the fact that I have my son, and she's like, "You need to feed him meat," and I'm like, no,
Not
Be like, Mom,
necessarily.
fish is really good for
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. I've never really been a big milk eater. I do like soy milk and almond milk. I will do that. But I can't do milk. I'm not a big cheese person either. I do love eggs. I'm a sucker for some eggs. Um, but I prefer farm raised eggs over any kind of, it's such a better taste. All right.
Caught fish too
Yeah.
is way better than farm raised.
Yeah. I think salmon is probably my favorite. I love sushi too, but I'll eat salmon every day if I could. And it's hard because like my parents love fish. They like not many people are a fan of tuna fish, but they love tuna fish. I love tuna fish. So, but the only way if I'm the only one in this household that eats fish. And I'm like, I mean, it's hard to cook it enough for just one person. So usually, like when my mom, she'll tell me, "Well, I'm gonna make tuna fish for dinner one night." I'm like, "Can you send me some, please?" Because nobody will eat it in my house, so I can't. It's a waste of fix it. But I think it's just so funny how everybody has such a different taste for things. Like one person will like one thing, and another person's like, "Ugh, no, not me." So I think it's pretty cool. All right, very good. So we did saturated fat, unsaturated fat, trans fat, cholesterol, and then now we're gonna do triglycerides. All right, so let's see here. Alicia, will you read the first paragraph for triglycerides, please?
Triglycerides are the chemical form in which most fat exists in food as well as in the body. Triglycerides are derived from two sources. The first is the synthesis by the body, as previously discussed. Ingested glucose that is not needed for the body or for energy can be stored in the form of glycogen in muscle and liver tissue for later use. When no more tissue storage is possible. Excess glucose is synthesized by the body into triglycerides, a form of fat, and stored as adipose tissue. Excess protein not needed by the body is also converted into triglycerides and stored as adipose tissue. The second source of triglycerides is food. Excess triglycerides consumed by eating foods containing fat are also stored as adipose tissue.
All right, very good. So I want you ladies to highlight the first sentence. All right, Anna, go ahead and read the next paragraph, please.
Where it says some of the triglycerides.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, some of the triglycerides in the body are not stored as fat, but remain in the bloodstream, specifically in the plasma. Most triglycerides in the bloodstreams are carried by a lipoprotein known as a very low density lipoprotein, which is VLDL. In normal amounts, triglycerides are essential to good health. And am I saying it right?
Uh, triglycerides?
Okay, yeah, okay. Triglycerides carried by the blood cells as the major source of energy of the body. An excess of blood triglycerides, however, uh, places an individual at increased risk of heart disease, and particularly when the bad low density lipoprotein cholesterol is high and the good high density of lipoprotein cholesterol is low. Hypoglyceride levels is the bloods are interrupted as outlined in box 21.2.
All right, very good. Thank you. All right, conditions that result in elevated blood triglyceride levels include obesity, type 2 diabetes, a physically inactive lifestyle, excessive alcohol consumption, smoking, hypothyroidism, kidney disease, and liver disease. Highlight that last paragraph. All right, and now, so before we go over box 21.1 and 21.2, when you hear the word triglycerides, have as a medical assistant, what could that mean for us? Right? Where would we see the word triglycerides? Does anybody know?
Blood?
Yes.
Like if we took blood?
Yes. So drawing someone's cholesterol level, so cholesterol is like an overall window, right? But then it breaks it down. So you've got your cholesterol, you've got your triglycerides, and then it breaks it down into your HDL and your LDL. So this is another reason why this chapter is really important, because now it's explaining what the LDL is and what the HDL is. Your patients will ask you that all the time. Well, which one's the good cholesterol? Well, which one's the bad? So this kind of tells us the bad is the LDL, low density lipoprotein, and the good is the high, the HDL. So L is bad, H is good. Okay, so this is another reason why this chapter is pretty fun, because when we get to our phlebotomy chapter and our blood chemistry test, you're going to hear some of these things, and then now you'll know what parts of them, how they play in the blood as well, and it also plays into the patient's diet. So it's all a cycle. All right, so let's look at box 21.1. So interpretation of total blood cholesterol levels. All right, so desirable level is less than 200 milligrams. Borderline high is 200 to 239, and high is 240 or greater. Okay, so that's total blood cholesterol levels. For triglycerides, the normal is considered less than 150. Borderline high is 150 to 199. High 200 to 499, and very high is 500 or higher. Okay, so just like with our blood pressure, there's normal, borderline, high. Same thing with here. We have our normal, our borderline, and our high. Okay, any questions on that? Okay. Jasmine, will you please read the first paragraph for protein?
Protein is often considered the second source macronutrient. This is because it contains not only carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, like carbohydrate and fat, but also nitrogen. The nitrogen provides protein with a special force that enables it to build, maintain, and repair body tissue. Protein has many important functions in the body. Protein is the primary structural material making up all body tissues such as muscle, bone, skin, and hair. In addition, protein is a major component of enzymes, antibodies, and many hormones that are essential to proper functioning of the body. Protein also plays a role in fluid balance and muscle contraction. According to the AMDR, 10% to 35% of the total daily caloric intake of an individual should come from protein.
All right, very good. Thank you. Okay, I want you ladies to highlight in that first paragraph where it says protein with a special force that enables it to build, maintain, and repair body tissue. Rich food sources of protein include meat, fish, poultry, milk, cheese, eggs, legumes, soybeans, and nuts. Highlight that sentence. Grains and soy products also contain moderate amounts of protein and are very useful in a vegetarian diet. Protein plays an important role in physical activity because exercise breaks down muscle protein, which then requires repair and restoration. The amount of activity performed in a day assists in determining how much protein an individual needs. For an example, the average adult requires approximately 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. For a 160-pound man, this translates to about 58 grams of protein. The amount of protein could be easily obtained by consuming 2 cups of milk, 5 ounces of meat, fish, or poultry, and 3 servings of grain. Protein needs for athletes, however, increase to about 1.2 to 1.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. The additional protein needed by an athlete can easily be obtained by an adequate, balanced diet, and the addition of protein supplements is not necessary. In fact, the American diet typically contains too much dietary protein, which can result in adverse effects in the body. The consequences of excess protein intake include calcium loss in the urine, increased risk of kidney stones, and dehydration. Okay, so I learned really quick about protein when I worked for a bariatric surgeon. Okay, so with a bariatric surgeon, the most thing for a patient to be able to, my bariatric patients had to be able to do a high protein diet. Okay, but with bariatric, it's very hard for someone to eat solid foods, right, and get the same digestion as to say you or me. And what I mean by that is if a patient had, let's say a patient had a gastric sleeve done, okay, it's a great procedure with a lot of benefits. The problem is that we took a portion of their stomach out. So the goal is that they get full faster, right? Well, if it takes 2 pieces of toast for me to get full, it's probably only going to take half of 1 piece for that patient to get full. Which means if they get full really quickly, it's going to take them longer to want to eat something. But if they don't get enough protein, then they're not ever going to lose any weight. They're going to be at a plateau. So this is where it kind of comes into play about, well, what kind of protein can they eat, right? Where can they get the protein source? So this is just another reason why I love this chapter, because it really helps you break it down as to what, what really we're supposed to be putting in our body and what we can direct with our patients. All right. Any questions so far? Sorry, guys. Okay. Lily, will you please read amino acids on page 746?
Protein is made up of smaller units known as amino acids. The dietary protein consumed by an individual is broken down into amino acids through the process of digestion. These amino acids are then arranged into different combinations to create the various proteins needed by the body. This can be compared to forming different words using the letters of the alphabet. Because of this, amino acids are known as the building blocks of life. There are 20 different amino acids that join together to make all types of protein in the body.
All right, very good. So you're going to highlight the second sentence. Okay. Let's see here. Sabrina, can you read essential amino acids?
Essential amino acids are required by the body, but they cannot be manufactured by the body and therefore must be obtained from food. Of the 20 amino acids that make up the proteins in the body, 9 of these are essential amino acids.
All right, you're going to highlight the first sentence. All right, Talia, can you read non-essential amino acids?
You said non-essential? Oh, okay, I see it. Non-essential amino acids are required by the body. However, they can be synthesized by the body in sufficient quantities to meet its needs. I thought the non-essential amino acids are required from good health. It is not necessary that they obtain from food because the body can be manufactured them.
All right, very good. Alicia, will you read both complete and incomplete protein, please?
A complete protein is a protein that contains all the essential amino acids needed by the body. Food sources that contain complete protein include animal-based foods such as meat, poultry, fish, milk, eggs, and cheese. An incomplete protein is a protein that lacks one or more of the essential amino acids needed by the body. Food sources that contain incomplete protein include plant-based foods such as fruits, vegetables, grains, legumes, and nuts. Complementary proteins are two or more incomplete protein sources that together provide adequate amounts of the essential amino acids. Examples of complementary proteins include beans and rice, tofu and rice, and hummus and pita bread. Vegetarians can obtain all of their essential amino acids through careful planning and the use of complementary proteins.
All right, very good. So under complete protein, you're going to highlight the first sentence. Okay, so it keeps stating the word poultry. Does everybody know what poultry is?
Chicken.
Yes, ma'am. It's everything that comes from the chicken. All right, very good. So let's take a look at figure 21.4. So A is considered a complete protein food sources and B is incomplete protein food sources. So it kind of gives you some examples there. All right, so for A, it looks like we've got reduced fat milk, chicken, eggs, steak, and fish. And in box B, it looks like we got an eggplant, an orange, an apple, some pasta, broccoli, bread, and some beans. Looks like maybe black beans and I'm not sure what kind of beans those are. All right, so just kind of giving you some examples there. Okay, so now we're going to go over vitamins, right? So just like everything else plays an important role in what our body needs, so are the vitamins that we take. All right, so let's see here. Anna, can you read vitamins, please?
A vitamin is an organic compound that is required in small amounts by the body for normal growth and development. Vitamins occur naturally in foods and may be added to processed foods to increase their nutrition value. Most vitamins cannot be produced by the body and therefore must be obtained from food.
All right, so you're going to highlight the first sentence. Jasmine, will you please read water-soluble vitamins?
Water-soluble vitamins derive their name because they dissolve in water. The body cannot store them. Water-soluble vitamins consumed in excess of the body's needs are removed through the urine. To maintain good nutritional health, these vitamins should be consumed daily. Water-soluble vitamins include vitamins B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B7, B9, B12, and C. Overall function of the B vitamins is to regulate metabolism, facilitate nervous system functions, and maintain healthy skin. Many of the B vitamins function as coenzymes in energy metabolism. This means that they assist important enzymes in converting food into fuel or energy for the body. Rich food sources of many of the B vitamins include whole grains, legumes, dark green leafy vegetables, pork, beef, and liver. Refer to Table 21.3 for the specific function, food sources, and deficiency diseases of the water-soluble vitamins.
All right, very good. Go ahead and highlight the first two sentences on the second paragraph and the fourth sentence. Okay, so this is going to be, so this is something that kind of, it covers an important factor, right? Because some of our patients, right, their body's not producing enough vitamins, so they need to take vitamin supplements. Okay, well, the one thing that you have to remember is you have to remember what kind of vitamins are water soluble and fat soluble. Okay, because you need to be able to explain to your patients if they need to eat something when they take that vitamin. Okay, so our water soluble, basically, it's not needed, right? They can just take it on an empty stomach. They can take it with food. They can just, you know, it really doesn't matter. Our fat soluble vitamins, however, you do. And the reason being because if you don't, basically your body is not going to break that vitamin down and process it within the body. You're just going to, it's going to go in and go right back out. Okay. So this is why another awesome part of this chapter. Okay, very good. Thank you. So Lily, please read fat soluble vitamins.
Fat soluble vitamins dissolve in fat. The body can store them, and because of this, they do not need to be consumed as often as water soluble vitamins. In fact, consuming an excess amount of the fat soluble vitamins can result in toxicity symptoms leading to health problems. The fat soluble vitamins include A, D, E, and K. Refer to Table 21.4 for the specific functions. Food sources, deficiency diseases, and toxicity symptoms caused by excess intake of the fat soluble vitamins.
All right, very good. So you're going to highlight the first two sentences, and where it says fat soluble vitamins include A, D, E, and K. All right, antioxidant vitamins. Vitamins A, C, and E are known as the antioxidant vitamins. An antioxidant is a molecule that inhibits the oxidation of other molecules. Oxidation reactions can produce free radicals that can damage body cells. The damaged cells are thought to contribute to aging and certain diseases such as cancer and heart disease. Rich sources of antioxidant vitamins A and C include brightly colored fruits and vegetables such as sweet potatoes, citrus fruit, tomatoes, and spinach, and vegetable oils are rich in vitamin E. Minerals. A mineral is a naturally occurring inorganic substance that is essential to the proper functioning of the body. Minerals tend to be highly concentrated in foods of animal origin and are absorbed better by the body in this form. Vegetarians can obtain an adequate intake of minerals and avoid the mineral deficiency by emphasizing the following foods in their diet: grains, nuts, and dark green leafy vegetables. A mineral deficiency can lead to poor health and serious illness that affects numerous body systems. Classification of minerals. Minerals are divided into two classifications depending on the amount required by the body. These classifications are major minerals and trace minerals. Major minerals are required in the body in larger quantities, whereas trace minerals are required in very small amounts. And each of these mineral classification is described in more detail in the following section. Major minerals. Major minerals are required in the adult diet in amounts greater than 100 milligrams a day and are found in the body of levels of 5 grams or higher. They play important roles in bone and tooth health, blood pressure regulation, and water and acid-base balance. The major minerals include calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, chloride, and sodium. Refer to Table 21.5 for the specific function, food sources, and deficiency diseases of major minerals. Trace minerals. Trace minerals are required in the adult diet in amounts of less than 50 milligrams a day and are found in the body in levels of less than 5 grams. They are a diverse group of minerals that assist in proper metabolism and structure, as well as immune and blood system functions. Trace minerals include iron, copper, zinc, magnesium, fluoride, selenium, iodine, corium, and molybdenum. Refer to table 21.6 for the specific function, food sources, and deficiency diseases of trace minerals. Okay, so let's go back to page 748. Highlight the following vitamins. Vitamin B1, also known as thiamine. Vitamin B9, folic acid. Vitamin B12, cobalamin. Vitamin C, ascorbic acid. Vitamin A, retinol. Vitamin D, calciferol, and vitamin K. Please highlight the function and the deficiency diseases and conditions by those that I asked you to highlight. All right, now everybody turn to page 750. On table 21.5, please highlight the mineral calcium and the function. On table 21.6 on page 759, highlight the mineral iron and fluoride, as well as the function and deficiency diseases and conditions. All right, Sabrina, will you please read the first two paragraphs for water?
Water is essential to the survival of an individual. This old adage still holds true. A man can survive in the desert without food for more than 30 days, but can make it only about 3 days without water. Water makes up approximately 60% to 65% of an adult's total body weight, and that percentage is even higher in the young children. Water serves many important functions in the body. Water is the universal solvent of the body. It allows nutrients such as glucose, vitamins, and minerals to dissolve in water and be transported by the circulatory system to the cells of the body. Water allows for transport of the substances in oh my god, sorry.
It's okay.
Water allows for transporting the substances in out of the cells and is the basis of many chemical reactions in the body. In addition, water provides a solvent for ridding the body of waste products in the form of urine. Water also cushions the shock to bones and joints and cools the body's internal temperature through perspiration.
Very good, thank you. Okay, in the first paragraph,
Can't hear you. Is it just me?
did I just, oh, I'm sorry. Can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So in the first paragraph, highlight where it says water makes up approximately 60 to 65% of an adult's total body weight. And in the next paragraph, highlight the last three sentences. Okay, and Nancy on highlight fluoride after iron.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, Talia, will you please read the next two paragraphs?
Balancing the amount of water coming into and going out of the body is extremely important to life. Water is obtained primarily from the consumption of fluids and food. It is also obtained from chemical reactions that take place in the body that produce water as a byproduct. Daily needs can be met by drinking water or beverages such as tea, coffee, juices, and milk. A portion of the body's needs can be met by the consumption of foods that have a high water content, such as fresh fruit, vegetables, and dairy products. The hypothalamus is the hunger and thirst regulation of the body. It is now recognized as a reliable indicator of fluid balances. One of the one one way in which health professionals calculate an individual fluids need is as follows. An individual should consume 1 milliliter of water from every calorie consumed. For example, an individual who requires about 2,000 calories a day should consume 2,000 milliliters of water, approximately 2.5 quarts each day. What?
All right, very good. Alicia, will you please read the last paragraph on water, please?
Water is lost from the body primarily through urine, but it can also be lost through other means, including perspiration, breathing, and the feces. Illness can cause the individual to lose an excessive amount of water through perspiration associated with a fever, diarrhea, and vomiting. Signs and symptoms of dehydration may begin to occur when the amount of fluid reaches 2% of the body weight. Dehydration can be fatal when 9% to 12% of the body weight is lost through water. Symptoms of dehydration in the adult includes increased thirst, dry mouth, decreased urine output, dry skin, headache, weakness, and dizziness.
All right, very good. So you're going to highlight the first sentence. So just like with everything else that we're covering in this chapter, there are so many things that are important for our body to continue to function and to be able to function properly. So water is another important factor. All right, next is dietary supplements. The best way to obtain all the nutrients needed by the body is to consume a balanced, healthy diet consisting of foods with a high nutrient density and adequate calories. A food with a high nutrient density is a food that is low in calories and high in nutrients. For examples include fruits, vegetables, whole grains, low-fat or fat-free dairy products, lean cuts of meat, and beans, nuts, and seeds. Approximately half of the American population takes a dietary supplement, the most common one being a multivitamin and mineral, an MVM supplement. Highlight those two words. Although MVM supplements can help to fill minor nutritional gaps in the American diet, they do not serve as a substitute for a healthy diet. This is because MVM supplements do not compare with the wide variety of vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, and fiber found in foods. On the other hand, certain conditions or diseases may warrant the use of a vitamin and mineral supplement as follows. Highlight individuals consuming less than 1,200 kcal a day in the first bullet point. On the second bullet point, highlight certain diseases such as Crohn's disease, celiac disease, chronic liver disease, cystic fibrosis, and chronic pancreatitis. Let's turn to page 752. The next bullet point, highlight individuals who are pregnant. The next one, highlight individuals who practice a vegetarian lifestyle. And in the last bullet point, highlight elderly individuals. There are certain disadvantages to taking an excessive amount of a vitamin supplement. As previously discussed, water-soluble vitamins consume in excess of the body's needs and are removed from the body through the urine. On the other hand, the body can store fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K. consuming excess amounts of fat-soluble vitamins can cause a buildup of these vitamins in the body, resulting in toxicity symptoms. Toxicity symptoms may be relatively mild, such as itching, headache, flushed skin, and nausea. They may also be more severe, including symptoms such as loss of hair, bone pain, kidney stones, hemolysis of blood cells, and prolonged blood clotting. Refer to Table 21.4 for a list of fat-soluble vitamins and the toxicity symptoms that can occur with an excess intake of these vitamins. Okay, any questions so far, guys?
What exactly does that mean?
Okay, so in some cases, our patients may be required to take supplements, right? Whether it's maybe their body doesn't produce enough vitamin D. So our doctor's going to put them on a vitamin D supplement. So what it's saying is that individuals, there are certain condition and diseases that may warrant the supplements, right? So for the first bullet point, if your patient's consuming less than 1,200 kcal a day, it may warrant them to take a multivitamin.
Okay.
If your patient has a certain disease, does anybody know what celiac disease is?
Never heard of it.
Okay, anybody else? So
You're
go ahead.
sorry, you're immune to gluten?
Yes. So you have an allergy or a sensitivity to gluten. And in some patients, this is very severe. Well, if you fall into that category, your doctor may ask you to take some sort of a multivitamin or a supplement to help your body to help your body get in the vitamin that you're not able to produce from the diet.
Okay.
Okay. Crohn's disease is a disease of your intestines, your digestive tract, right? So if you fall into this category, your doctor may have you take a certain vitamin to help produce what your body's not able to form. Okay.
I think what I was trying to ask was like where it says consuming excessive amount of fat soluble vitamins can cause buildup of these vitamins in the body, resulting in toxicity symptoms.
Okay.
So is that saying that some people can actually take more than what the body needs of vitamin?
Oh, yes. Yes. And it's more
Wow.
common than you think. People will take too much of a vitamin, and instead of it doing good, it's actually going to start doing a lot of harm to the body.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep. So do you remember when we previously spoke in chapter 11 on medications, and I said it's really important that we know everything the patient takes, including vitamins, herbal supplements, what diet they're on?
Yes.
This is where it also plays into effect, right? So if our patient is taking lots of vitamin D and they're eating a large amounts of bananas, what vitamin does a banana produce? Like if orange helps your vitamin C, a banana will help vitamin D, your potassium. So not vitamin D, potassium, I'm sorry. So if our patient is taking a lot of potassium and they're eating a lot of bananas, what do we think their body is starting to do?
It's to
Yep. The toxicity symptoms. That's right, because they're taking too much. That's why it's important for us to really be able to ask our patients those questions, because with their diet and if they're taking supplements, especially in our elderly, because man, they think they got to take every single vitamin on this earth. Not necessarily. Okay, so it's just basically just saying that if I take a multivitamin and an iron supplement and a magnesium and a potassium, more than likely I'm taking too much. And what's going to happen is that I'm going to start having nausea. Some of my health, maybe my teeth are going to start breaking easily. I'm going to have leg cramps, hair loss, nausea. I'm weak. I'm out of breath. It's going to start doing the reverse instead of doing the body good, right? So that's what toxicity. Thank you, baby.
Coffee delivery.
Thank you.
The other two for the girls?
Yes. Amy, they were, but you can just put it on the table. I'll let them know.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
so when you're a breastfeeding mom, and like what vitamin are you lacking when your teeth start to hurt? Because I know at one point my teeth felt like they're about to fall out my mouth.
So a lot of times with pregnancy, you're low on iron and you're low on potassium.
Mhm.
So if potassium plays a big part in some of our in our mouth and in our muscles, so that may be why.
Okay.
But usually with the prenatal, it kind of helps because when you're carrying a child, let's say for an example, okay, with both of my girls, I was sick the entire pregnancy, like the entire pregnancy. Okay, I didn't eat. I didn't want to eat. If I tried to eat, it wasn't staying down. But so naturally, you're concerned that my baby's not getting too much or not getting enough, actually. I'm sorry. So my provider said, no, the baby is getting from you, right? So the baby's pulling from me. The reason I felt so crappy and the baby's doing fine is because the baby's pulling all my nutrients, but I'm not being able to replace it, right? I can't keep anything down. So that's where, taking the prenatals, staying hydrated. A lot of times by doing that, it tends to kind of equal out, and like I tell my patients, if you get hungry, go ahead and try to eat something, whether you hold it down or not, because your body is going to consume what it needs off of the food that you tried eating, and so will the baby. All right, any other questions? Yeah. I love this chapter. I was surprised. It's actually one of my favorites.
Was that your husband that brought you coffee?
I'm sorry, what?
Was that your husband who brought you coffee?
Yes.
That was nice of him.
Yes, it was. So we're remodeling right now we're remodeling the downstairs of our house, and they're doing the electricity part in the kitchen. So yesterday they undid 2 plugs. One of those plugs plugged in my Keurig. Well, before they left yesterday, they said that, oh, well, it's, the plug's working because they know that I need my coffee. Like it's not a want, I need it.
Me
Well,
too.
so I got up this morning and my Keurig wouldn't turn on. So, okay, and if you don't have a Keurig, the cords are like that long, right? Like they're not long at all. So I'm sitting here carrying my Keurig around the kitchen trying to find a plug that would be long enough for me to put my Keurig down and to plug it in. And I couldn't find one. So I was like, well, I've got an extension cord. Let me go try using my extension cord. So I get out my extension cord, but it's not a 3-prong. My Keurig's a 3-prong plug. I was like, oh my God. So finally, my Keurig is plugged into the bathroom. It's on my bathroom counter. So my husband had to go into the office today for a little bit. And I said, would you please run my Starbucks, pick up some coffee so I don't have to go make my coffee in the bathroom? And he did. So it was super sweet.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So funny story, my Keurig's in my bathroom. All right. So tools for healthy nutrition. All right. So now we've gone over what it means in the nutrition, right? Now we need to figure out how to guide our way through it. So that's what we're going to start covering now. Let's see. Talia, will you read the nutrition guides under tools for healthy nutrition?
MyPlate in its 2015 dietary guidelines for American 2015 DGA or nutrition guides promoted by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The major objective of this guideline is to achieve and maintain a healthy weight through a healthy, nutritional, adequate diet, which assists in preventing and reducing chronic diseases and conditions such as diabetes, heart diseases, and obesity. Study shows that approximately half of all American adults have have one or more preventable chronic disease relating to poor quality eating and physical activity. The MyPlate in the 2015 DGA nutrition guidelines are described in more details as follows.
All right, very good. So before we go any further, so you guys are going to find more often than not, you're going to have your patients, they're going to have maybe one or even multiple chronic diseases, okay? Their diet plays a huge factor. Huge factor. Because a lot of these chronic, again, when we hear chronic, that means what? What does chronic mean?
Continues for like a long period of time.
That's right, a long period of time. So if a patient is dealing with something for a long period of time, now, I'm sorry, hold on. Naturally, it starts wearing on their body. Okay, when you deal with anything for a long period of time, it naturally will start wearing on your body. So it is super important for our patients that we guide them to making sure that they're taking care of their body inside and out. So that's what this is going to kind of start helping do. So let me give an example. Okay, so let's say a patient has heart disease, lupus, and kidney disease. What do we think that's doing to their body? Where do we think a chronic diseases like that, where are we going to see the effects on a body? Where do you think? Does anybody know? It's okay. This isn't a right or wrong. This is
What were the diseases?
so if a patient has lupus, heart disease, and kidney disease, right? These are three chronic diseases. Where do we think we're going to see the effects on a body?
Like the gut health, digestive health.
Very good. Anything else? Any other ideas? Gut health is a big one.
Like you can see it in their hair and stuff, right? They'll lose their hair.
Right. Hair starts falling out. Very good. Anything else?
And then like I know some bodies start getting, like the medication make them get bigger than what they usually be.
Yep. Steroid.
Yeah.
Steroid's a big, big side effect. And honestly, okay, so the difference is that with steroid, and I know it has nothing to do with this chapter, but if you're taking steroids, let's say you have an upper respiratory infection, right? And you only take steroids for a couple of weeks. It's not going to cause you to gain much weight. You may feel a little swollen, but in all honesty, you probably don't. You actually feel the opposite. Now, for some of our chronic diseases, they may have to take steroids for a long period of time. Like I literally went for 1.5 years, I was on steroids that whole entire time. And it did just that. It made me gain weight. So if you're taking steroids for a short period of time, you don't need to worry about that. It's our patients who have to take them for a long time. Like patients who are on transplants, who've had a transplant, you're going to find that they may be swollen because they have to be on steroids or other medications that cause that. But that is one thing. Yep. All right. Anything else? Any other ideas? Okay, not a problem. So the reason I'm asking that is because as a medical assistant, when you're dealing with some of your chronic ill, sorry, it's my dog, y'all. Dealing with some of our chronic ill patients, this is why it's important. Well, hey, what kind of diet are you following? Are you just, and if they say, well, you know what, I'm really not, I stay sick a lot. It's hard for me to keep things down, anything. Well, that's already an indication that their body's probably not producing anything, right? Like if they can't eat, then they're not getting the vitamins from their diet. So in return, it's going to also make them feel even more worse because they're not getting what the body needs to stay active, to stay healthy. So that's where we can say, okay, well, are you taking any vitamins? If they say, no, I'm not taking anything. Okay, well, we're going to document that, but that's something you can go and tell your provider, right? They've been diagnosed with this, and this. They are not able to eat much. The patient has a lot of nausea and vomiting, and they don't take any vitamins. Okay, well, you've already just helped your provider out with a discussion that they can go have with that patient. So that's why this plays important. So it's really good to start picking up on things. A lot of chronic disease patients, you're going to notice that their dental health is probably not as good as some other patients. Because again, when our body is depleting and we can't adequately replace what was being depleted, it develops toxicity, and that can come out in numerous ways. Okay, any questions on that? Okay. Let's see here. Alicia, please read on my plate fruits and vegetables and protein.
Half the plate should include fruits and vegetables, with the vegetable portion being a bit bigger. Fruits and vegetables contribute carbohydrate, vitamin A and C, potassium, folate, and fiber to the diet. Protein, 1/4 of the plate should be made of the protein group. Dried beans, peas, nuts, and seafood should be incorporated into this group, which reduces a heavy reliance on animal-based proteins. This food group provides protein, iron, vitamin B6 and B12, zinc, and magnesium to the diet.
All right, very good. Anna, will you read grains and dairy, please?
1/4 of the plate should consist of grains, whole grains, breads, and cereals. Should be made up at least half of the total grain intake. This food group provides rich sources of carbohydrates, fiber, B, vitamins, and iron to the diet. Dairy, 1 serving of low-fat dairy foods such as skim milk or yogurt should accompany the meal. This food group contributes protein, calcium, vitamin D, riboflavin, and vitamin B12 to the diet.
Very good, thank you. Okay, I'm sorry, Jack. Okay, so when we deal with our pediatric patients, you're going to see figure 21.9 quite a lot, right? This kind of helps our kiddos imagine what they need to have on their plate when it comes time to eat. So this is what's kind of breaking it down. On protein, I want you ladies to highlight the first sentence. All right, there are numerous resources available on the Choose My Plate website. The website provides the user with individualized nutritional guidance that allows tracking of daily food take and intake physical activity, Super Tracker, access to calorie and food group information for specific foods, Foodopedia, and a personalized nutritional plan based on gender, age, and physical activity, My Plan. One of the most important messages promotes by the My Plate guide is to avoid oversized portion. Quit. Understanding what a standard serving size is for specific foods can often be difficult and confusing for many. The Choose My Plate website features a basic section that contains an extensive reference about the specific food groups and related serving sizes. So how many of you guys have seen this choosemyplate.gov? Have any of you guys seen this before?
I've seen it like when I was in school.
Yeah. Yeah. Anywhere else?
School?
Yeah. So
Is that
a
what you
lot
said?
of times, yeah. So at schools, it's a pretty popular with the schools. Like I know with my girls, you know, when it comes to like the cafeteria part, like when I, you know, especially in elementary, like you would go, if you go eat lunch with your kid or something, you'll see these, you know, signs all over the cafeteria. And one of them usually is something like this, right? So it kind of gives you an idea of imagining that for our fruits, that's really all the fruits that we need, right? If we're going to fill up our plates, that's, you know, that's the only amount of fruits. Our vegetables and our grains are actually more than our fruits and our protein, right? Did anybody realize that? So that means that we should be getting more vegetables than our protein. Now, however, this choosemyplate.gov, it actually goes in and you can really personalize it, right? So this is a good resource that you can, or even your provider may guide your patients through. It's pretty cool. All right, 2015 dietary guidelines for Americans. Let's see. Jasmine, will you please read the first paragraph?
The 2015 Dietary Guidelines for Americans works hand in hand with My Plate to provide important recommendations that support sound nutrition. The information in the 2015 DGA is also used in developing and implementing food and nutrition programs and policies in the United States. These guidelines are intended for Americans ages 2 years and older, including those at increased risk of chronic disease. They are issued and updated every 5 years by the USDA and HHS to reflect the most recent scientific research about nutrition and health.
Okay, who remembers a case study that we covered in a chapter that this would have been pretty good resource that we could have told our patient? Does anybody remember that case study?
The mom with the daughter, I think diabetes. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Yeah, so yeah, that's right. So the mom, she was obese, and I believe she had, I think maybe it was type 2 diabetes, but the daughter, right, she was starting to weigh more. She was really very self-conscious about her body. You know, she wanted to be homeschooled. So this is a resource that we can, you know, so that would have been a good one that we could have used if we would have known about it for that case study. So again, this is a good resource. All right, very good. Let's see, Lily, will you please read the second paragraph?
The 2015 DGA focuses on achieving and maintaining a healthy eating pattern, along with paying attention to caloric limits and obtaining regular physical activity. An eating pattern is defined as a combination of food and beverages that constitute an individual's complete dietary intake over time. It has been determined that an eating pattern is more predictive of overall health status than individual nutrients. Specific examples of eating patterns include the My Plate eating plan, the therapeutic lifestyle changes, eating plan, and the dietary approaches to stop hypertension.
Okay, so a while ago I mentioned chronic diseases. Well, now it's talking about specific examples of eating pattern and that eating pattern is more predictive than overall health status. What does that mean on what kinds of other patients might we also have a discussion about their nutrition? Are there a couple other disorders that you will possibly see as a medical assistant? Any ideas? Say that again?
Heart disease?
Nope. When you hear the word eating pattern, what does that make? What do you think about that?
What about people with like anorexia and
Bingo. Got it. Anorexia and bulimia patients. And again, they could be male or female. So this is another process on which, so it's not just our chronic ill patients, it's patients with eating disorder, right? They have to, it's an eating pattern. So an eating pattern means that I have molded, for me, okay, I follow the keto diet, right? So everything in my world, I'm under keto. Okay, well, if your patient has an eating disorder, then that means that's all their world exists. You have to completely retrain everything in the mind and the body to do something different. It's an eating pattern, right? Just like if I have a pattern of the first thing I do when I get up in the morning is go make coffee, same thing, it's an eating pattern. So this is just another example of where our nutrition plays a big part when we have those conversations with some of those patients. All right, any questions about anything so far?
Miss Davis, isn't there I'm not sure if it's the right term, but is it true that there are people that can't lose weight, that are a little overweight? It has to do with something about like a thyroid.
Uh-huh. Yes. So there's hypothyroidism and there's hyperthyroidism. Both of those can play a factor in your weight.
Okay.
So your thyroid and your hypothalamus plays a big factor in weight. So yes, some patients with for some, let's say if it's hypo, what do we think that means? What does hypo mean?
I don't know. First thing mine is hypertension.
Well, hypertension's a little different, but
That's the blood pressure, but
okay,
that's all that comes to mind.
Well, but so what does hyper mean for hypertension?
Too high?
High blood pressure.
Okay. So if I say someone is hyperthyroidism, what does that mean for the
That
thyroid?
means that their thyroid is overworking.
Yes, it's working too hard, right? It's exhausting on the cycle. So if I say hypo, then what would that mean? If hyper means too much,
not working enough.
That's right. Then it's not functioning enough like it should. But so a side effect with honestly either one, it can be weight gain, or in some cases the opposite, weight loss.
Okay.
So yeah, just another example of a disease that can cause problems. All right, anything else, guys? All right. Let's see. Jasmine, can you read that last paragraph, please, above food labels?
The 2015 DGA includes 5 primary guidelines and a number of key recommendations, which include specific nutritional targets and dietary limits. Although a recommendation on the amount of cholesterol to consume each day is not included in the 2015 dietary guidelines, this does not mean that dietary cholesterol is no longer important to consider when developing a healthy eating pattern. Individuals should consume as little dietary cholesterol as possible while consuming a healthy eating pattern. The 2015 dietary guidelines and summary of key recommendations for healthier living are presented in Table 21.7.
All right, very good. All right, so now that brings us to our food labels. Okay, you guys are doing good. All right, food labeling is required by the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, for most packaged foods such as breads, cereals, canned and frozen foods, snacks, desserts, and beverages. Highlight that sentence. Food labeling for raw produce such as fruits and vegetables is not required, but rather is voluntary. The purpose of food labeling is to provide consumers with accurate and valid information about the nutrients and ingredients in packaged food. Each packaged food is required to state the following information: the common or usual name of the product, the name and address of the manufacturer, packer, or distributor, the net quantity of contents in terms of weight, measure, or numeric count, the nutrient contents of the food item, also the nutritional facts panel, the ingredients in descending order of predominance by weight. Two important components of the food label are the nutritional facts panel and the ingredient list. These components provide guidance to the consumer for making healthy food choices and are discussed in more detail in the following sections. All right, nutrition facts panel. Nutrition facts panel, figure 21.10, provides detailed information about the nutrient content of a food, which serves as a nutrition guide to consumers when purchasing packaged foods. The nutritional facts panel is especially beneficial to individuals with health conditions such as hypertension and diabetes that require them to follow a specialized diet. The nutritional facts panel can be divided into 7 basic sections, which are listed and described here. All right, Nancy, read number 1, please.
Are we talking about the bullet points?
No, under the
Oh,
nutritional.
serving size and serving per package.
Yes, ma'am.
The serving size section, highlighted in green in figure 21.10, indicates the size of a single serving and the total number of servings, including the package. A packaged food frequently contains more than one serving. The serving size is presented in familiar units, such as cups or pieces, followed by the metric equivalent. Example number of grams. The amounts of calories and nutrients listed on the remainder of the label are based on one serving. This section assists consumers in comparing similar foods with the same serving size to determine which is healthier choice.
Very good. All right. Let's see here. Sabrina, go ahead and read number 2, please.
The amount of calories section indicates the total number of calories in one serving, which assists individuals with weight management. The number of calories is listed on the left side, and the number of calories that come from fat are listed on the right side. It is important to note that an individual must pay attention to the number of servings consumed. If an individual consumes 2 servings, this in turn doubles the amount of calories and nutrients consumed. For example, if the calories per serving equals 250, but there are 2 servings per package, the consumer would actually be taking in 500 calories if the entire package were consumed.
All right, very good. All right. So do you ladies understand 1 and 2, right? Any questions on those two?
No.
All right. So number 3 is percent daily value. There is a column on the right side of the nutrition panel that lists the percent daily value. The percent daily value is defined as the percentage of a nutrient provided by a single serving of a food item compared with how much is required for the entire day. This section of the food label provides information on whether a nutrient is one serving of food contributes a little or a lot of that nutrient to the total daily diet. The percentage DV is based on a 2,000 kcal day diet, and each nutrient is based on 100% of the recommended daily amount of that nutrient. For an example, a food item with a 20% DV of iron provides 20% of the daily iron needed by an individual on a 2,000 calorie diet. For the individual to meet the recommended daily goal of 100%, the remaining 80% DV of iron would need to come from other foods containing iron. These percentages should be modified appropriately if an individual consumes more or less than 2,000 kcal a day. The percentage DV also allows individuals to make informed food choices to meet their specific dietary requirements by the following these interpretation guidelines. Low nutrient level, 5% DV or less. Good nutrient level, 10% to 19. High or rich nutrient level is 20% DV or more. For an example, if individuals want to include foods in their diet to assist them in decreasing their risk of osteoporosis, they should look for labels that indicate a 20% DV or more for calcium. Other individuals might be trying to lower their risk of heart disease and should look for labels that indicate a 5% DV or less in total fat and saturated fat. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at figure 21.10 on page 755. Okay, so the third part of your nutritional project is your nutrition facts. All right, so let's take a look at this. So it says serving size is 1 cup. Servings per container is about 2. Someone tell me the difference in those two things.
Per container means that that's what it contains.
Yeah.
It contains 2 cups. And then the serving size is if I want to eat if I eat 1 cup, I just had 1 serving.
That's right. Okay, very good. So if we just do the 1 serving, the 1 cup serving size, then that means that our total fat is 12 grams, our saturated fat is 3 grams, and our cholesterol is 30 grams. If we ate 2 cups, what does that mean for our carbohydrates? How many carbohydrates did we just eat if we ate 2 cups?
62?
Yes. Yeah, so again, remember, your serving size and the servings per container are going to be 2 different things, and you have to carefully look at those because sometimes 1 cracker is 10 grams of carbs. Serving size per container is, let's say, 6. Okay, well, if I just ate 6 crackers, then that means I just had 6 times the amount of the carbs that maybe I wanted to do. So that's really, you got to be really careful with that if you're following some diets and making sure you recognize the serving size and the servings per container. Okay, now the percentage daily value, right? The percentage DV. So in this case, they're telling us that our total fat, it's 18% DV. And is that low, good, or high?
I'm going to say low, but where are you looking at that? I don't see it.
So right above the nutrients that should be limited, there are 3 bullet points. It says the percentage DV also allows individuals to make informed food choices to meet their specific dietary requirements. So if the total fat is 18%, does that fall in the low, good, or high nutrient level?
Good.
Good. Yes,
Good.
that's right. Yeah. So now you're able to kind of see how to read it, right? That's the difference between the left side of the column, stop, Jack, and the right side. The right side is going to be our percentage. Now, on the nutritional facts, if you look under the vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, and iron, it says percent daily values are based on a 2,000 calorie diet. Okay. So while ago, oh, that one said 2,000 as well. So then that's kind of where all this plays into effect. So you have the left side of the panel and you have the right side. All right. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay. All right. So on number 4, nutrients that should be limited. And let's see here. Talia, will you read number 4, please?
The section of nutrients that should be limited, highlighted in yellow in figure 21.10, indicates that nutrients that are important to the health but that should be limited in the diet because they contribute to health problems such as heart disease, some cancers, and hypertension. These nutrients includes total fat, including saturated fat and trans fat, cholesterol, and sodium. To consume less of these nutrients, the individual should select food with a low percent DV of these nutrients. 5% DV or less is considered low. There is no recommended percent DV for trans fat on a food label. However, the grams of trans fat are listed in this section.
All right, very good. So on number 4, I just want you guys to highlight these nutrients include total fat, cholesterol, and sodium. All right. Alicia, are you where you can read number 5?
The section on nutrients that should be obtained in adequate amounts, highlighted in red in figure 21.10, indicates the nutrients that are especially important to health. These nutrients include dietary fiber, vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, and iron. An individual should strive to achieve a 100% daily value of these nutrients. Consuming adequate amounts of these nutrients improves health and helps reduce the risk of certain diseases and conditions. To consume adequate amounts of these nutrients, individuals should select food with a high percent daily value of these nutrients. 20% daily value or more is considered high.
Very good, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna go and tell you we're gonna be stopping on page 760, and I'm gonna resume the remaining of the chapter this afternoon. So just to let you guys know, we're almost done with the morning part. Okay, Anna, can you read number 6, please?
Footnote with daily values. The footnote section highlighted in orange in figure 21.10 provides information on either maximum or minimum daily values for important nutrients. The daily values listed for total fats, substituted fats, or cholesterol and sodium are considered the maximum upper limits that should be consumed each day for good health. In other words, an individual should try to stay below these amounts each day. On the other hand, the daily values of dietary fibers is considered the minimum level an individual should try to reach each day for nutrition-rich diet.
Very good.
And the daily values are listed for individuals who consume 2,000 or 250,000 kcals each day. Women typically follow the 2,000 kcal levels. The men typically follow the 250 kcal goals. And the information in the footnote section is the same for each food products on which it appears is found on other large size packages.
Very good, thank you. All right, so number 7 is additional nutrients. Additional nutrients are highlighted in blue in figure 21.10 and include carbohydrates and protein. So carbohydrates. The total carbohydrate value featured on the food label consists of both simple and complex types. Sugars include the simple carbohydrates, whereas dietary fiber is classified as a complex carbohydrate. The remaining carbohydrates come from starches. Protein. Most Americans consume more protein than they need. Therefore, a percentage DV for protein is not required on the Nutrition Facts panel. Individuals are encouraged to consume moderate portions of foods containing protein such as meat, poultry, milk, eggs, cheese, legumes, and nuts. All right, so let's take a look at figure 21.12. I'm sorry, guys. Terms for added sugar. Highlight the following: corn syrup, honey, and molasses. All right, ingredient list. The ingredient list is an important component of food labeling. Ingredients are listed in descending order of weight from highest to lowest. Highlight that sentence. This means that the first ingredient makes up the largest proportion of the food by weight compared with any other ingredient. Consumers can use the information in the ingredient list to make healthy food choices. For example, the AHA recommends limiting the amounts of added sugars in the diet to reduce the incidence of obesity and heart disease. A good guideline to follow is to avoid items that list added sugar as the first or second ingredient. Added sugar appears in the ingredient list under a number of different terms. Figure 21.12 is a list of names used to describe sugar and to highlight on added sugars box for more detailed information on added sugars. Another ingredient to avoid is trans fat because it increases the risk of heart disease. Highlight trans fat appears in the ingredient list as a hydrogenated vegetable oil, partially hydrogenated vegetable oil, and shortening. The ingredient list also allows consumers to quickly scan for ingredients that may cause food allergies, for example, peanuts, or food intolerances, for example, lactose, or that should be avoided for religious or cultural reasons. Another benefit of the ingredient list is to assist individuals in seeking fresh or unprocessed foods that promote good health and prevent disease. These foods typically have an ingredient that is short and simple. Figure 21.11a and fresh terms are found in the list of ingredients such as a whole oats, whole grain flour, diced tomatoes, chicken broth, and vegetable oil. On the other hand, processed foods typically have a lengthy list of ingredients. Figure 21.11b and include chemical terms such as sodium citrate, trisodium phosphate, benzoic acid, sodium nitrate, and monosodium glutamate. All right, so let's look at figure 21.11. So A is what?
Short and simple.
Yeah, it's short and simple. B, I'm getting tired of just reading it. So if we're having to follow, really, diet restrictions, are we going to go for A or B?
B.
You're
A.
going to choose, yeah, it'd be A. It's less ingredients. And even by reading B, okay, well, we already see the words brown sugar, oat flour, high fructose corn syrup, sodium citrate. So those are multiple sugars that are in those ingredients. So it's just the lesser items under the ingredients, that just means that there's less process. It's more of a fresher choice.
Okay, I thought you meant like for example, if somebody's allergic to something, then you want to make sure you read the whole thing.
Well, yeah, you do. So that's the other side of it, right? So A would be definitely okay. Well, there's not much added. I mean, it's very fresh. But let's say I'm allergic to wheat. Okay, well, I see wheat is in here, right? All right, so let's look at B. Well, I don't see the words wheat. So it may be that if I'm allergic to wheat, I actually may go for B, right? Because I don't see what I'm allergic to. So it's just where it may not always be a straight answer. It may be for that patient. But that's how, so we understand the vitamins that help our body do things. We're understanding how to read the nutritional facts. Now we need to look at the ingredients, right? Because it's again, it comes to a full circle. All right. So again, it depends. Now, let's say
I'm sorry to interrupt you real quick, but so at 1 we're gonna leave off or come back at page 760.
yes,
That's where we're gonna start reading.
yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, I have to go. I just wanted to let you. I just wanted to make sure so that way when I come back at 1, I know where to go.
Yeah, that's fine. And again, you guys don't, if you attended this morning, you don't have to come back at 1. If you do, that's great. But yeah, that's fine. That'll work, Alicia. Thank you.
Okay, I'll be back at 1. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay, so any questions on A or B or anything that we've gone over so far?
No.
Okay. All right, so let me throw something else out. So let's say that I am following a sugar-free diet. I'm diabetic. I want to do a sugar-free diet. Okay. One of the ingredients is oat flour, natural and artificial flavor, sucrose, and corn syrup. Would that be a good choice for me to make on those based off of those ingredients?
No.
No. Because again, just because it doesn't say sugar doesn't mean there's not other additives that basically is terms for sugar, right? So it's just, again, it's really being careful and making sure you're reading everything. All right, so let's go on over to page 758. And Anna, will you please read the first paragraph under nutrition therapy?
Yes. You said which one was it again? The first paragraph under nutrition therapy?
Yes.
Nutrition therapy is the application of the science of nutrition to promote optimal health and treat illness. Nutrition therapy is an important component of the medical treatment plan for managing certain diseases and conditions. As previously discussed, the medical assistant should have a basic knowledge of the type of nutrition therapy prescribed for common conditions and diseases. However, the medical assistant is not qualified to recommend or provide nutrition therapy to patients. This is the responsibility of a registered dietitian who is specially trained to assess the nutritional status of a patient and recommend appropriate nutrition therapy.
All right, very good. So you're going to highlight the first sentence. All right, Sabrina, will you please read weight management?
Weight management involves following a set of practices and behaviors that keep an individual's weight at a healthy level. The basis of weight management depends on the number of calories consumed, compared with the number of calories used, over a period of time. Individuals who consume roughly the same number of calories that they will use will remain at the same weight. On the other hand, individuals who consume more calories than they use over a period of time will gain weight, and individuals who consume fewer calories than they use over a period of time will lose weight. Weight management is particularly important in the prevention and treatment of obesity.
All right, very good. Talia, will you go ahead and read the first paragraph on obesity, please.
Obesity is a medical condition in which there is an excessive accumulation of the body fat to the extended to accumulation of body fat to the extended where it may have an adverse effect on the health and well-being of an individual.
Okay. Anna, can you go ahead and read the next paragraph, please?
I'm sorry, it's obesity, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Obesity is a medical condition in which there is an excessive accumulation of body fat to the extent where it may have an observed effect on the health and well-being of the individual. And density of obesity in the United States have increased remarkable, and obesity is how one of the most common chronic health problems occur for the primary care providers. Almost 69% of adults in the United States are either overweight or obese. That means that nearly 2 of every 3 Americans are overweight or obese. Obesity is just an appearance or body image concern. It is associated with the premature death, and after smoking is the second leading cause. Here, get on the floor. Bye. Go bye-bye. Okay, it is the associated with the premature death, and after smoking is the second leading cause of preventable death in the United States today. According to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, approximately, oh Lord, I'm like really bad at numbers.
It's okay. So that's 112,000.
112,000 deaths in the United States each year and associated with obesity. The primary cause of obesity includes an excessive food intake and a lack of physical exercise. You finish the rest?
No, honey, you're good. Thank
Okay.
you. All right, very good. The body mass index, the BMI. Where have we heard these words before, or these letters?
Doing weight.
Yep. Yeah, part of the vitals, right? Some of our providers may want to know a BMI, or a patient wants to know a BMI. All right, very good. So the BMI, body mass index, strongly correlates with total body fat and therefore is used as a screening tool to identify patients who may be at risk for diseases that occur with overweight and obesity. As discussed in Chapter 5, an adult patient's weight and height are used to determine his or her BMI. Refer to the highlight on the body mass index in Chapter 5 to review the methods for determining the BMI. The BMI of an adult is then interpreted using the weight status categories outlined in Table 21.8. It has been determined that as the BMI increases to greater than 25, there is, and highlight the following, an increased risk of developing certain diseases associated with overweight and obesity, such as hypertension, coronary artery disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, sleep apnea, and respiratory problems and osteoarthritis. All right, let's take a quick look at Table 21.8. So if a patient's BMI is less than 15, then that's telling us that they are severely underweight. If a patient's BMI is 30, then they would be considered an obese class 1, moderately obese. Okay, so this is just another tool that you may use to help your provider identify patients that may or are already at risk for other problems, right? Our goal is to help stop those before they start. All right, any questions on that?